A digital detox is when someone takes a break from phones, computers, or other screens to reduce stress and reconnect with real life.
Some people do it for just a few hours, others take longer breaks, or they focus on detoxing from specific things like apps on social media. Today, we are talking about, are digital detoxes worth it?
Let's talk about it.
Welcome to Net with Lizzy and Lissa, where we analyze hidden costs and empower you to make your own damn decisions in life. Each episode covers a different facet of life, and at the end of each episode, we each give our takes on whether we think something is net positive or net negative.
I'm Lizzy, a strategist and consultant with almost 20 years of experience in finance and investing.
And I'm Lissa, a personal finance expert and a certified financial planner. We're best friends who talk about money
and everything else.
Are digital detoxes worth it?
First up, running the numbers on digital detoxes.
According to a University of Arizona health and wellness survey in 2024, 77% of undergraduate students have felt the need to cut down or limit their cell phone usage.
Sheesh.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
A lot of good self-awareness for undergrad students.
Yeah. Okay, and according to Statista, a 2022 survey of internet users in the US showed that 32% of respondents took a break from their digital devices for at least 2 hours a day. 2 hours.
2 hours is good.
Start somewhere.
There's also a clear link between screen time and mental health. A 2024 study published in NARA Journal found that digital detox interventions significantly reduced symptoms of depression.
Ooh, I buy that.
Yeah.
And in a Deloitte study from Germany, 84% of individuals aged 18 to 24 said they believe they use their phones too much. And 55% reported using their phones more than the year before.
So they're increasing in usage and they know that it's too much.
Already.
Yeah, I think that's pretty goes without saying.
That tracks.
Well, we know there's more to life than numbers and statistics, so let's talk about it. Are digital detoxes worth it?
All right. How about we start by laying out the costs of a digital detox? What's at stake?
FOMO, missing out, fear of missing out. You miss out on things. Okay, actually, can we rewind it? And are we talking about like not being on your phone? Or is it also like television, like other screens?
I think it depends. And so we can maybe cast a broad net. Is that a phrase?
Cast a wide net?
Cast a wide net.
It could be broad and wide or synonyms.
Or you cast a rod? I don't know. Broad and wide. Because I think there's, the complete detox of I'm not communicating with the outside world, so to speak, digitally. And that might include email and, work, text messages, social media, all of that. Or down to, a specific app, disconnecting temporarily, like while you're on vacation. Even something as simple as like when you're at dinner with friends, you don't have your phone out, or you turn it upside down, or, do not disturb. I think there's a wide range.
Yeah. In general, then, if we're using a really wide example.
Broad,
wide net, then missing out, right? You miss notifications, you miss things. If you detox from your email or TV, you miss the latest news or the latest shows. You miss the latest information.
Yeah, you're not connected. You're not in the loop.
Yeah.
Now, you might argue that you're not in the loop on a certain reality, but you're more connected
in
the present
IRL.
moment. Yeah, in IRL.
Yeah. I guess that's a good thing to call out. In terms of types of costs, so I think it touches all of them, like financial cost, social cost. Well, maybe it actually saves you time and energy, but like...
It could be, yeah. I think there's a line, and this is a little bit speaking from experience, of the balance between being disconnected, maybe in a positive way, you're out of the loop on certain things that could waste your time or that can be a distraction, can like trap you in, a certain reality that may not be real. And also you can miss out on meaningful things or be disconnected from people that are important to you. And it can be difficult in those moments to distinguish between the two.
Can you think of the last time you went 24 hours without any screen? Phones, iPads, televisions, computers, I guess watches, if digital watches, smartwatches.
Yes, I can, actually. I went on a houseboat trip last summer where there was no service. Because of that, I have gotten better of like, if I know I'm going to be in an environment where I don't need to be on my phone, I'm not going to be on it. I didn't bring my computer. I knew I didn't really have service or it was going to be sketchy, so I just tuned out for at least 24 hours. At a certain point, I did go check back in because my grandmother was in the hospital at that time. And so that's another trade-off, right? I'm in an environment where I couldn't get actual timely updates. So at one point during the trip, I was there for 4 or 5 days. I tried to check back in, but honestly, it was amazing.
Yeah. I figure that for most people, it would be something like I went on an overnight camping trip or hike or somewhere where you're out in nature where part of the point is to be disconnected and part of the reason is you have no service.
Right.
Right. That's all I can really think of, because when I'm at home in my day to day, there's screens involved in my entire routine.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. And
it varies, everyone's different. Like for me, television isn't a big thing, but I'm certainly on my computer all day with work. I'm definitely on my phone. And sometimes for productive things, like I love to read. I'd rather read than watch TV, but I read through the Kindle app on my phone.
Yeah.
So, it can be tough. And it says a lot, even in that example that I had, where if I had service, would I have been on it?
Yeah.
Probably.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, that was making me think like, I can't think of a time where I actively, on the question of 24 hours without screens, I don't think there's a time that I've ever done it where it wasn't kind of forced. The only time I can think of in recent days is a couple times in the last year or two, I've had really, really, really bad migraines. So all I'm doing is sleeping in bed, like headache so bad that I can't even watch TV, or have anything bright. Really all I can do is lay there. So that's the only time I can think of that, I have access to the stuff, but that I don't use it, but it's because I'm forced to almost because of my health. I can't think of a time where I just said, you know what, today, gonna be disconnected on everything. Like I might go off my phone and iPad and computer, but I'll spend the day binge watching TV shows.
Yeah, to be off all things at one time. Yeah. And I have been, there are certain things I've been off of, like for the most part, I've been off of social media for quite some time, or at least the ones I was on actively, I've been deactivated. But I'll still use my phone for other things. I'm still talking to people, you know. So it's a tough one.
Yeah. So is there anything that you consider that you currently do digital detoxes on? You mentioned social media. What does that look like for you? Yeah.
So for me, I have deactivated my personal Instagram account, which was the main social media I used. I don't really use TikTok. I don't have it installed. I don't have Instagram installed on my phone. I haven't for probably about a year now. And it was really, for me, recognizing like I am getting sucked into these things, and parts of it are great. Like I would share lots of funny stuff with friends and my family. It was like a big way we connected. But I would look at it and like, the people that would come up in my algorithm, I'm like, I don't care about these people. Like, not that there's anything wrong with them, but like even the stuff I'm looking at that is artificially being served to me are about people that are like you know, the people coming up number one are people that are like an acquaintance from, you know, high school, that they're not even.
Yeah. But you can't unfollow or anything?
Well, and it would just be more like, you know, you just kind of get into the rhythm of it and you happen to see like one thing from someone. And so then it starts feeding you more. And, and it's like, okay, what am I even looking at this for?
Yeah.
And so it was kind of that, like just a time suck, and that I didn't really think I was getting anything out of it. The one thing I will say, so that's the main thing. I also, over the past like several years, have I've become a very shitty texter. I'm so bad at, you're like, yes, I know.
Oh yeah, I know.
I am so bad, and I don't care.
Yeah.
I like, if I don't want to be available, a lot of times it gives me, most of the time, even with my favorite people, it gives me a lot of anxiety. And so I'm like, I don't have to be available at all times to everyone.
Out of curiosity, what part of it gives you anxiety?
I think some of it's not super clear. I think it's sometimes like having to give attention to something, especially if it's like, I can think of an example with a friend of mine where we don't see each other that often, so we keep in touch, you know, just via text. And there will be like a question like, how is this and how is that? And I'm just like, oh, that it feels like work.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, I don't have that to give. I don't have anything else.
On via text or via message?
Via any way. I don't have that energy to give to anyone else right now.
Got it.
So that's usually what it is. It's like, I only have energy for myself or for this thing over here. It's like, I think that's mostly the social energy. So that's been interesting. And then I also sometimes feel really bad about it. And I'm like, am I being a bad friend, or am I... And it's really interesting. Like even this past weekend, I went on a date and we were hanging out for hours, and I was not even looking at my phone like all day. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, I feel like, oh, I'm disconnected. Are people talking to me that expect something of me? Because I'm part of a community, you know, in my family. And so it's complicated.
Gosh, so that's interesting. So part of the reason that you do little detoxes from your phone or certain apps is the anxiety that it can bring. Mm-hmm. But then when you do the detox for yourself to relieve that anxiety, you also feel this guilt or other negative feelings. So how do you win here?
I don't know. I mean, I try to like give myself grace of like, it's hard to navigate the world where you're expected to be connected to 24/7, or, you know, people expect that immediate responsiveness, and that's kind of the status quo. And so if you don't participate in that to some extent, it's like, am I the asshole? But also that's a normal, you know, 20 years ago, this wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard and, you know, a big mental health challenge. So,
well, I think of that now in terms of like the shift of cultural norms.
Yeah.
20 years ago, when we were younger, it was the norm to call your friends on three-way phone calls and talk on the phone. Nowadays, group chats where you're sending memes, and you know, I actually am in a couple of group chats that are great, because anytime I want some, like this is on Instagram, anytime I want some comic relief and something interesting to look at briefly, it got a couple minutes in between appointments or something, I can peep in and watch something funny that a friend has shared. I will say though, I have a different relationship with like Instagram now where I'm not on it a lot. So sometimes there'll be like 12 messages that I miss, or 12, more than 12 a lot of times, but like, let's just say 12 different memes and videos that I'll watch one or two of them and get my little laugh and double tap and like be part of the conversation, but I'll miss other parts of the conversation. Sure. And I've finally gotten to a point where, again, like you, like I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to be part of it, and I don't want to be removed from the group chat. Like I enjoy that connection. Yeah. And so I think that's another cost of digital detoxing is, like you said, it's like a lack of connection, where in reality you're more connected in physical, in the real world, But because of cultural norms that have changed over the last couple decades, that is the norm, right? We get to connect with people that aren't geographically near us, that we don't see often.
I have a perfect example that is very recent and very familiar to you, your wedding.
Yeah.
So you had an amazing wedding weekend. I'm sure we will talk about it in depth on another episode. And people from all around the world. I maybe took 4 pictures the whole weekend because one was very present in the moment, which was incredible. It was an amazing time. And this has shifted in me. I don't post things, so it changes how I experience a moment, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
The trade-off being, because I'm not posting stuff and I'm not really looking at stuff, I'm not also getting that little kind of like the afterglow moment where everyone's recapping, which is a great part of an experience, or the benefit of having that easy interconnectivity with people that are far away where you still feel close to them. And so it's definitely a trade-off. It makes it harder. There's, the good thing about really being present, and the benefit of social media is it helps you be connected to people.
Yeah. Well, interesting you said that about the wedding. So similar to Liz, because it was my wedding, I was very present. And I also didn't have my phone on me a lot of the time because I got dresses on, I got nowhere to put it. So I personally did not take a lot of photos either. And I'm mad at myself for it because we're still waiting for the professional photos. And I want to relive it. I want those memories. Today is one of my good friend's birthdays, and I was trying to find a picture of the 2 of us at the wedding. Don't have one, right? There's people that I wish I had taken photos with. But on the flip side, what we did, we set up a digital guest book where guests could upload their photos and videos for the weekend, which made it great because now we have hundreds of photos and videos that we didn't have to take ourselves. But still, because I was so present in the moment and off my phone, I didn't have those firsthand photos behind the scenes. It's
a trade-off. And it's that really is part of the experience of an experience, whether that's a night out with friends or a vacation, the chance to go let me see your stories.
Concerts where you're just holding your phone
reliving
up the
moment is sometimes just as much fun as the actual event or experience itself.
Yeah.
And so you can miss out on that.
Yeah.
What currently are your forms, if any, of digital detox?
I don't know if I've told you this, but like I said earlier, I don't go out of my way to say, all right, I'm off my phone this whole weekend or no screens today. What I do is more small day-to-day habits that I've built over years that I feel have given me a sense of control and more managed emotions around it. So I rarely feel anxiety about notifications and my phone and messages and group chats. Every so often I will. I'm like, oh shoot, there's 200 messages I'm behind. Right. Every so often. But even then, it's friends who understand and there's no real consequence for it. So the habits that I feel I've built over the years are more I actually turned off all notifications definitely on social media apps and majority of apps. Only this past year have I started to allow more notifications. And most of them are it's my Ring cameras and which is annoying as it is to get so many notifications, but I can't get myself to turn them off because I want to know when there's someone creeping up near my house at the front door. So those are the types of notifications I keep, but I've kept a strict no social media notifications, which is interesting because I'm an influencer, but I go into the apps to check them a couple times a day. And check my messages when I feel like it, when I have a break, versus my phone telling me, hey, someone DM'd you on Instagram, check it out. I don't do that. I go in when I feel like it. And I feel like that's given me more power and control over it. But even with that, I'll miss things.
Sure.
Right? My friend whose birthday it is today, she's one of the bridesmaids.
Shout out.
She'll have so many stories, and they're great, and I love watching them.
She's so funny.
She's so funny, right? She
Yeah.
posts memes, but she posts personal things. Like, it's so funny, and she's private, so it's just for her own little audience. But the funny part is, like, sometimes I'll say something in a group WhatsApp chat where I'm like, oh, have you watched this show? And she'll be like, well, if you saw my story, like, you would have known. And we joke about it, right? And I'm like, well, shoot, I missed today's stories because it was one day that I wasn't really checking. And so there's things like that happen sometimes that I'll miss when I'm doing my method of social media. But I've found over the years that it's just been so great because I feel very much in control of it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't think I've ever had notifications on for social media for any app ever.
Yeah.
I do have text message notifications on, but I don't have WhatsApp. But I'm the same.
Yeah, text. I think text.
You don't have WhatsApp on, right? I think.
I don't have WhatsApp.
Yeah.
I have. So here's the thing about my notifications. The few apps that I do have notifications for, I do on WhatsApp because that's my primary mode of communicating with people. My phone is 99.99% of the time silent, which is annoying because sometimes if I misplace it, I don't know how to.
This is going to make me sound like such an idiot. What? I cannot figure out how to get my notifications or my volume, silence, vibrate to do it the way I want it to. It's like no matter what I miss. I want it to do something, vibrate when I get a phone call.
Okay.
That's really it. That's it.
So phone calls.
And it's like no matter what happens, I think I figured it out. And then my co-founders, I miss their calls every time.
I wonder why.
Every time. And something was to do with like the volume being tied to my alarm volume. I don't know. It's my own issue.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I think I have a small thing like that too, where I can't figure it out. So when I am expecting a call, like let's say I'm calling my bank because there's a fraudulent activity and they're like, well, we'll give you a call back in 5 minutes. Then I'll turn my volume on. Yeah. That's the 0.1%. But all the other times I'm pretty much off my phone, which is very annoying to all of my friends and family who try to call me. So unless, one thing I will do is I'll have my phone like this. So even if it's on silent, if it's in my vicinity and there's a call coming, most times I'll catch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If not, I'm a callback person. I'll call my mom back, call whoever back. Yeah.
I also use Do Not Disturb, all those different sleep mode. I use the
Me too.
Like screen limitations after 7 p.m. where I can only use certain apps. I use all of that. Example, just 2 days ago, I think, I got food delivered.
Yeah.
And my apartment, they have to call me to come down and get it. And I didn't realize that the thing was on. So they called me like 9 times. And I'm like, oh.
Did you get your food?
I did, yeah. But that's an example of like, I'm just not even thinking about the fact that it's on. So it's blocking everyone.
Yeah. Which is so interesting because like you mentioned from 20, 30 years ago, that's what the house phone is for. Because the house phone will ring.
Exactly.
Right? Like, you can't silent that thing. I mean, you can, but it was cultural standard practice to just let it ring.
It's so crazy. I mean, thinking back to, like house phone. I mean, we had the house phone in the kitchen or like where everyone is there. You're not having private conversations or even like at the beginning of digital times. I was telling my younger brother this. We had dial-up in the office, which is now our dining room. So like in the middle of the house on AIM, sitting there like trying to have a little private teenage high school conversation. Everybody's around. And then God forbid you get a phone call or a fax at the time and it kicks you off.
Man.
It's just a different time.
It's different times. I think that's what I'm doing for now to limit my screen time. And I think I'm in a good place because since leaving my 9 to 5, I have a different relationship with like my computer and screens. But I do think about that, like those statistics where these high percentages of people know that they're on their phone too much. I feel that too. This is funny. I hope Alan doesn't mind me saying it, but like there have been once or twice where I've seen Alan like in between meetings. He has like two minutes in between a meeting, and like I've seen him grab his phone and then like without even thinking it, he'll just kind of go straight to Instagram and then close it and then like didn't even do anything on it. Like I've seen him do that once or twice and I'm like, but it's such a reflex.
I've been there. I've absolutely been that person. It's just like a task switching automatic muscle memory. And it's not even something I care about.
Yeah.
That's actually, I've done digital or social media in particular detoxes before, at times for like a year or more at a time. And that was one of the reasons. It was like, I need a quick mental break, and my automatic go-to is social media, even if I'm not consciously giving a shit about it.
Or looking for anything in particular.
And I found, or like the moment I have a second of downtime, it's just a space filler. Now this isn't that much better because I would still be on my phone, but at the very least I would be reading.
Yeah.
Right. So like that became my replacement. Okay. I don't have any social media. So if I'm like at a doctor's office waiting, I'm not going to scroll. I'm going to read.
Yeah. Okay. So play devil's advocate though, on the other side, I don't think there's anything wrong with the simple principle of checking out a social media app, looking at photos, looking at funny videos. I think it's the part where it's automatic and you're kind of mindlessly getting on it and then mindlessly staying there.
And mindlessly consuming, like not filtering.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've probably all been there.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get sucked in. Yeah. And you're like, then you get out of it and you stop and you're like, oh God, like how long was I sitting here doing this?
I love a good rabbit hole.
Yeah, sure.
But not like every day. Like I would hate to go down rabbit holes, multiple times a day and just being like, well, why did I end up learning about, ancient Greek history today?
Yeah.
Like nothing wrong with it. It's probably interesting, but like, how did I get here? How did I arrive here?
Well, and I think the other piece of it, there are levels to the content you're consuming, right? And everything in moderation, or like there's value to all different kinds of content. So something educational is different than something humorous, that's different than just like purely entertaining. Or of course, with any social media conversation, it invites comparison. There's you're like ingesting a lot of messages and internalizing it without realizing.
Yeah.
I think that's especially the challenge for young people. We are a generation that's had the benefit of having both.
We, by Liz means we're like millennial.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You can't tell. Yeah.
I mean, we look so young.
So young.
But,
we're not Gen Z.
But we're not. Yeah. And so and I'm grateful for that, to have had that experience where we didn't engage with the world through a screen primarily. And, I see it in my nieces and nephews and, other younger kids that I know, teenagers. That is the mode of operating. And I don't want to be like all doom and gloom about it, because there are benefits and there's great things, but it's very different. And I cannot deny that kids today don't get out and play outside the way that they used to, don't have the same ease or kind of norms around socializing with each other. It, to some extent, has become a replacement for the types of interaction that were normal for us.
Yeah. Their worlds are bigger because the screen offers this basically infinite landscape.
And smaller at the same time.
And smaller because social interaction.
Yeah. Like, and, not to like over highlight, people in my family, but, I've had conversations like, oh, so who are you going to hang out? What are you going to do this weekend? What are you going to do this summer? Like, oh, they didn't want to have summer vacation or spring because they weren't going to see their friends. But like, you can see them in person.
Yeah. Exactly.
Or they live in the neighborhood. You can go knock on their door and see if they're home. It's just a different time.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of statistics around the anxiety that it creates for kids and how socialization has changed.
Yeah.
Not always bad, but different.
Yeah. So digital detoxes, on the cost to that, have you ever had it negatively affect you to be off something, like off Instagram or off your phone?
Negatively in any way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have. I think there are things I've missed that are going on in friends' lives that I was not aware of, that I just wasn't as present for them because I wasn't engaging in the way that is kind of the norm. Even little things like, I don't know that this quite counts, but sometimes for me, that's like, I don't even want to like look at my finances the same way. And that just like, okay, I'm not going to check on this for a while.
Yeah.
That's not really a detox, but it's that kind of same instinct for me of like, I can't handle this right now.
Yeah.
And I'll miss stuff and be like, oh shit, I was paying for this for like 3 months and I didn't realize it. So yeah.
So sort of like avoidance. Because
yeah.
To protect yourself from.
Sometimes, yeah, it's like protecting my energy, I guess. And yeah, there's definitely costs to that, for sure.
That was kind of a leading question. There's something that I thought about where when I used to be single, when I used to date, let's say in my 20s, maybe like late 20s, early 30s, there was a kind of stigma that I associated with people who were kind of like, oh, I don't have social media. I don't do social media. Like, and even the way I said it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how I perceived it. Because to me back then, it was like, I don't know when its prime was, but it was like the big thing. It was, that's how you connect with people. That's how you share photos. That's how you share more about yourself. And I was always on like Instagram, Twitter, back in the day, Vine, all the fun ones, Facebook, obviously. And when I would meet people that are, I think it was the people who were kind of condescending towards it.
Yeah, there's a sense of superiority.
Yeah, there's
for
some people who just,
like,
I don't really.
Oh, that's childish.
Yeah, there's some people who are just, I don't get it, and
I don't need that. Yeah,
right?
there was a thing.
But then there was people who were like, yeah, it was like it's below them. Like, nah, I don't waste my time on that. And it's like, yeah, but who's to say that it's wasting time?
Right.
Why is there that association? And so I think because of that, I created this stigma where I saw people who were like that as like, the heck, like,
yeah,
what's wrong with you? Like, come to the real world. Come into 2025 or 2020, whatever year it was. I don't know.
So that made me laugh because literally yesterday I had this conversation. This might be like airing someone out, but person I'm dating said they don't have social media for mental health reasons. They're like, I just never really did that. And I told a friend about it and they're like, so he's married.
See? So that has happened in the past.
It has happened. And so, but isn't that just truth or whatever aside, isn't that fascinating that it is so normal and accepted to be on social media that people would more likely believe you're a liar and a cheater and living a second life than that you don't participate in it.
Correct. Yeah. And
isn't that interesting?
I can see both sides.
Me too.
I know why, but it's in this day and age, you really don't know. It could be.
You don't know.
You want to believe someone that they just never got on it and they have their other interests and maybe none of their friends do it either. So it's like maybe based on your group that you hang around with. But for the people that in the past that I dated who are like, oh, I'm not into that. No, you're a cheater.
Right.
Like, it wasn't once or twice. It was
this persona is not into that.
This persona is not into the social media stuff. Yet you got burner accounts, right? Like,
right.
So I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway.
It made me laugh. Very top of mind.
Yeah. So anyway, in terms of cost, when it comes to digital detoxing, I think there could be stigma. There could be assumptions made for people like
lack of trust.
Yeah. Lack of trust.
Yeah.
Or even just, who like, okay, come into. Yeah. Be a part of the real world, which is not the real world. Like be a part, like you want to be so different. Like,
right. Yeah, there's judgments associated with it. And even, like, you kind of said this, but more specifically, there is a lot of pop culture that is created, a lot of jokes, a lot of memes.
Yeah.
There's awareness and shifts that are online.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the loop on that, you're missing out on those things. Not just what people are doing, your friends, but you lack that level of awareness.
I think we talked about this maybe in the networking episode, maybe a different one where we were talking about how, having a sports team keeps you in the know and that can actually help you in the door in certain
sure.
business conversations,
Absolutely, yep.
networking. And so similarly, I think when it comes to social media and the landscape of not even social media, but the internet in general, if you're not a part of it and you're not in the know, you could be missing out on those types of opportunities. Because
absolutely. Yeah, it's part of a broader shared culture that involves millions, if not billions of people. So, you know, that funny thing that happened, or, you know, the thing that comes to mind randomly is like the Super Bowl. So, you know, there's cultural events, whether they're actual events or they're just things that happen that are like a shared language that, you know, water cooler on a Zoom meeting. Oh my God, did you see that? That's so funny. And I think professionally is a great point, whether that's in a networking context, you know, meeting new people, sales, or even trying to build rapport like in a company culture. Sharing those moments really like personalizes, humanizes your relationships and can add a lot of depth.
Yeah. So I know we're talking a lot about social media, but that applies to everything. If you're not connected and you're, you know, you spend your days off screens, there's a lot of benefit to that. But what we're trying to point out is that there's things you're going to miss out on as well. It's really just a give or take sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, I would say, at least maybe for millennials and younger, I feel like when people do digital detoxes, a lot of it comes from a perspective of self-care and protecting my space, protecting my energy. And that supersedes whatever cost comes that's associated with it.
Right. But it's also good to be aware that it's not always a pure cost, right? You're also sacrificing other things.
Yeah. So self-care, digital detoxing, are there any other reasons top of mind why someone would choose to detox?
I mean, this is random, but what comes to mind is like safety. Like if people are, I mean.
Oh, that did happen to, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to talk about that,
yeah,
but.
I might have talked about this in the previous episode.
I can't remember.
I got harassed online for many, many months, maybe even a year, from a stalker / online bully that my partner, my husband, knows in person. She didn't like the fact that we were together. I'll just leave it at that. And she would harass me every day on Instagram, TikTok, on my public pages, on my growing TikTok platform with mean comments. And it was weird because I was at a point where I was like, I need to be on TikTok because my audience is growing and I want to be here and I want to be an influencer and I want to make money.
It was a pretty critical time in your growth.
But I also, so I gotta read the comments, see what people want to know and what people, you know, what people want to know about finance. But then I would run into those comments too. So I had to I didn't fully detox, but I had to kind of manage my screen time in that way. So I do think safety from online bullying and harassment is thanks for bringing it up, like a very big reason as to why some people detox, whether temporarily or just as a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I think digital detoxing, I get scared to leave my phone when I go on a run or something like that. One, because I like to track the run, but because if I'm out there and something happens, I need to be able to call someone.
That happened to me just the other day. I can't remember what I was doing. I was on a hike or something, and I didn't bring my phone.
You forgot it or you purposely left it?
It could have been either. I don't remember, because sometimes I'll do that. I'll be like, I don't need this right now. There's nothing that's going to happen. But I had this moment where I was like, oh, this might not be safe. Like, what if something happened to me and I have nothing on me because I keep my wallet or my ID on my phone? Like, I had nothing on me.
No pepper spray for the bears or anything?
I can't remember the exact scenario, but it crossed my mind. I was like, oh, actually, that's probably not safe for me as a woman alone in, wherever I was.
With coyotes and with your dog. Yeah. Not that a phone could save you, but anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of trippy, right? Like, you want to feel free and safe and disconnected because it can bring you some peace, but then it can affect your peace of mind too when you don't have that safety net of a phone and connection.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whether that's, you get a flat tire and you need to call someone, someone has your location just in case.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. I mean, the world has shifted. So kind of that completely disconnected life definitely has its costs as well.
Whew.
All right.
20 cents?
20 cents.
20 Cents is the segment of the show where both Lizzy and myself, Lissa, each get 60 seconds to give our 2 cents on today's topic, whether it's a net positive or net negative for digital detoxes. Where does 20 cents come from?
You get the opinion of 2 dimes.
2 dimes. That's us. The dimes.
1, 2. Yeah.
All right, Liz, you're up first. 60 seconds on the clock. For you, at this moment in time, are digital detoxes worth it?
For me, net positive. I think I go through phases, and I am fully supportive of others having a phase where you're more disconnected, you might be more in tune with yourself, or just kind of like grounding yourself, retreating, kind of like hibernation mode. And then sometimes where you're all about it, go ham. I think that's just part of life. It's going to ebb and flow. I'm in a somewhat more of that like hibernation mode, and being more mindful about it. And, there's still work to do and a balance to find, but I think moderation is kind of the key here. Being too disconnected is a challenge and has its costs, and so is being chronically online.
All right. Good answer. So net positive.
Net positive.
And do you see that as like a regular lifestyle choice, or for you're in a phase right now?
I think both. I think I'm in a phase right now, and I will probably have many more of these phases in my life, but they won't last forever. They'll just be a phase.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. What do you think?
For me, digital detoxes, I am going to go net negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I mentioned this in our recent sabbaticals episode, where it might be sabbaticals one, where it's just I'm in grind mode right now. Like I had my wedding, I passed my CFP exam last year. I took a lot of time off from many things, and now I'm in build mode. So I need to be on screens for my job, for staying connected with people, for building my social media presence. So that would be the reason I'm net negative right now. But I highly see the value in it, both as something you do in phases, as well as like you said, like for lifestyle in general, is finding your own boundaries and figuring out how to stick to them.
Do you think you would ever do that, like go back to a flip phone?
Like and not have apps and stuff?
Yeah.
No. Why? What? No. Because
that's okay.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think I like the thought of having it and being in control of saying, okay, I don't need apps for this week even, right? Or even this month. Maybe there comes a point where I'm just using my phone for talking on the phone.
Sure, yeah.
And not those other things, just to give myself a break.
But you still have the option. Yeah. I just always think that's fascinating. Like people who've never had it. Wow, that's a whole different way to experience the world.
It's weird.
Very cool.
Well, remember, this is what we think. At this moment in time, Liz is a net positive and I'm a net negative on digital detoxes. But no one can make that decision but you. What do you think? Are digital detoxes worth it?
Hit us up. Let us know what you think. DM us on Instagram at netnetpodcast or email us at hi@netnetpodcast.com. And if you want to follow us individually, here's where you can find us.
I'm at Wealth for Women of Color on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
And I'm at live_well_Lizzy on Instagram and TikTok.
All references, statistics, and resources mentioned can be found in our show notes. This podcast is for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only and should not be constituted as financial advice. Remember to always do your own research, consult a professional as needed, and feel empowered to make your own damn decisions.